Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Zaib.
Hi, good evening, Maryam.
Okay, so we are having a fifth episode of our podcast, which I have started by MedExam Expert, and the name of the podcast is very interesting, like Know Your Exam series. And I'm happy to tell you that today we are having some talk on the most favorite exam of the aspirants, known as MRCOG. And I would like to introduce all of you that we are having Dr. Zaib Qureshi with us today. And before proceeding to the podcast, I would like to introduce herself. And let me tell you that she did her primary medical qualification, known as her MBBS, from Dow Medical University, and she did FCPS Obs Gynae. Along with that, she take her membership exam from the Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecologists UK as well as Ireland, and she has done EBCOG, EFOG from the European Board. And she is working as a consultant obstetric and gynecology in private hospital. Along with that, she is working as a mentor on an online platform from 2016. And she is officially affiliated with Shield Pakistan. And alongside that, uh, she is also running a different social services programs for needy people. So we are very glad to have you, Dr. Zaib. Welcome in our today's postcard.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such an overwhelming kind of introduction. And I'm
You're
so happy
welcome.
to be here. My exam expert is like, the home for all of us, right?
Yeah,
So I really
exactly.
feel, so I really feel, the privilege that I'm going to talk about my, me, myself, and then of course MRCOG as well. So thank you,
Exactly.
MedExam. Thanks to you as well, and thanks to MedExam team as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I have already introduced, give a short introduction of yours, but still our viewers want your full introduction. So please, Dr. Zaib, introduce yourself.
Yeah, kind of overwhelming again. But
Yeah.
yes, like I mean, most of the MRCOG FCPS aspirants know me that I'm Dr. Zaib Qureshi, and from the online world, of course. And apart from that, I belong to the Sindh, and I belong to a village, in fact. So I
Okay.
had a very, the kind of struggling career, and a kind of a very, the you can say, it was full of kind of the all thicks and thin, and but I
Hmm.
pulled through. I pulled through. So I belong to a village. I mean, it was kind of a village in which we never had the big universities and medical colleges and all, apart from the primary level education. So yeah, I
Hmm.
did my that education. Then I moved to the big cities to pursue my the higher education as well. And then today I'm here sitting in front of you. So of course it was never an easy path, and it was never an
Exactly.
easy journey as well. So I had to face a lot of hurdle. I had to face a lot of the you can say the kind of turbulence as well. So it was not an
Hmm.
easy journey. But all the I held was the kind of perseverance, persistence, and the aim to do something. So yeah, the after doing MBBS, when I started off my house job or internship, so I was intending to become a cardiologist. So somehow,
Okay.
yeah, I did my FCPS part one in medicine, and I passed that. I started off my residency, and I did for few months as well. Then somehow, because of some the reasons, so I had to take a break. So when I started, the thinking again that okay, I have to join back my residency, then somehow there was another hurdle. I'm sure you know that, that we have to do IMM. So
Exactly.
at that level, I was thinking that whether I'll be able to pass my IMM in first go, I'll be able to the secure any cardiology, the
Hmm.
fellowship, or you can say the residency program. So somehow I don't know, I switched from I took a 360-degree turn, and I flipped my complete career from medicine cardiology towards this OBGY. And you will be
Okay.
surprised to know that I never did house job in gynae as well. I never did a single per abdominal per vaginal exam in my whole
I have,
life. Till I
yeah, these things happen, and I have seen a
yeah.
number of people as well who haven't seen the face of gynae in the medical student life, and they did an internship in the gynae, but they are very
Exactly.
famous and renowned consultants of obs and gynae right now.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, this thing
So
is very
somewhat,
common.
somewhat, the similar happened to me, and I took a 360-degree turn, and then I entered into this FCPS, and somehow, I passed my FCPS part one. Then I entered into residency program. Initially, I didn't want to continue my residency, and with all thicks and thins and hurdles and problems, somehow, I completed my residency, and with the grace of Almighty, I passed my FCPS in first go, part two, in fact. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
mashallah.
So after that, I thought, the let's do something else. Then I came across with Facebook pages, and somehow, the I got so intrigued with MRCOG because I never knew that I had to do MRCOG, because back in 2016-17 it was not that in trend, right? So I did some homework, and then I entered into this journey, and then I never looked back. So I did MRCOG, and with the same, the kind of residency program of 4 years of FCPS that actually helped me in entering into MRCOG. Then, the I thought that okay, let's do an Irish, the degree
Yeah.
program as well. So I did that, and then afterwards, the COVID thing happened, everything was off, and somehow I felt that I am an old graduate now, so I have to, the kind of refresh my knowledge. So I started off studying for EBCOG, which was kind of similar, or perhaps, the little bit tougher than MRCOG, which I found for myself, and I will be talking about that in the end. So yeah, I did it because I had nothing to do in COVID era, and I was home all the time, so I had to study. So I was studying, and I did it. So apart
Okay.
from that, side by side educational, the programs. Apart from that, I work as a consultant. I have the major concern and area of interest is high risk obstetrics, and the I love to deal with the high risk patients. So yeah, I do try to, they bring all my knowledge, whatever I have studied so far, whatever I have gained throughout my career and throughout my, the kind of all these educational background. So I do try to be as fruitful as possible to my patients as well. So I know this is being long, but this is what I had to do because my own
No, this
students,
is
I'm
such
sure
an
they are watching.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's very wonderful, and that's very amazing, and you are such an inspiration for all of us, Dr.
Thank you.
Zaib.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's start our question answer session of the
Mm-hmm.
live podcast. And these
Mm-hmm.
are some of the questions which we used to get on the daily basis regarding MRCOG exam, regarding MRCPI exam. So, the very first question, Dr. Zaib, is that what is the overview of MRCOG exam? The student would like to ask that is it beneficial to take both exams side by side, like if one is doing FCPS residency in Pakistan? So, is it fruitful to take both the exam alongside?
It is worth taking both exams, okay, side by side, because with one residency program, because you won't be, the surprised to know that almost more than 50% of syllabus is MRCOG. And for the last 2 years, we are following almost, the footprints of MRCOG as well. We are working on the same lines. Like, I mean, now in FCPS Part 2, we don't have any kind of long cases or something like that. Now we have TOEFs or OSCE, okay? So eventually, they are giving some, the different names, but this way or that way, it is more or less similar to MRCOG. Difficulty level is same, and of course, you have to put extra, the effort, and you have to do extra struggle to pass this exam as well. So I would definitely suggest, because back in 2016-17, when I started off my journey, we never had such kind of platforms, we never had such kind of guidance. So me and few of my friends, we all of us, we used to just scroll through, the Google and Facebook and the other platforms to just get the knowledge. But this is very, the amazing to know that since, I must say, 2018 or 19, people are more inclined towards doing MRCOG, as as long as they are entering into this FCPS program, they are starting, the working for MRCOG as well. So, which is good. And to answer your question, that is it fruitful? Yes, it is fruitful. And if you allow
Okay.
me to just tell you that how it is going to bring a change, so I would love to tell you is that, because the in FCPS program, while we are taking our residency, so of course that journey is, the kind of very hard, very tough. We are dealing with day to day stressful life. We are doing on calls, we are post call, and blah blah blah. And when you are entering into MRCOG, so it gives you a new perspective, that how you see, how you look at your patients, how you see one disease. And then of course, you try to bring your knowledge into the clinical practice as well. So the drastic change which I have felt in myself is that, I have felt that, okay, I was FCPS before entering into this MRCOG program, but after doing MRCOG, I have found the kind of, I must say, a kind of a drastic change in my communication, a drastic change in my care towards my patient, which I truly believe is very good, because this gives
Okay.
me, the some kind of satisfaction, and the a lot of, the happiness by the end of the day, that okay, I am being good to my patients, I am being good to my institute where I'm working, and then of course, by the end of the day, I'm happy, I'm satisfied. Yeah.
So that thing really does matter. So thank
Yes,
you
it does.
so much, Dr. Zaib. Okay, now let's talk about some of the very important essentials of this exam, which is
Mhm.
membership of Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecology. So
Mhm.
here are some of the questions like validity of the exam, eligibility of the exam, success rate of the exam, preparation time of the exam, and other thing is there is, yeah, someone has asked that what is the most famous question bank to prepare MRCOG.
So many questions in one questions,
Yeah,
so I will
exactly.
try to answer one after one. So the valid, who can appear in this exam? Everybody who is doing MBBS, everybody who is entering into this, the medical field, can enter into this OBG. But most important is that, you are, like, I mean, inclined towards OBG. This has to be in your mind. It shouldn't be like that, my parents wants me to become an OBG, or this is my dream, or I have seen somebody, so I got inspired. Apart from that, we do take inspiration, right? But apart from that, first of all, you need to have that motivation, you need to have that courage to go through all hurdles of OBG, the residency and all. So everybody's, the can enter into this, the OBG. And it doesn't matter that, that you have done a residency or no. You can write your part 1 right after your MBBS and house job, and after that you can do even part 2 as well. But the many people who are entering into this MRCOG these days, they are already done with their FCPS, MCPS, or any local membership exam all around the globe. So, the country local exam. Apart from that, the for part 3, you need at least 4 years clinical experience. Having said that, clinical experience is clinical experience, of course, but it is always preferable that if somebody has worked in hospital, tertiary care hospital, and they have, the you can say that baseline knowledge of almost all emergencies, baseline knowledge of all, the OPD, IPDs, and theatrical work as well. So definitely it is going to help them in their part 2 theory. And after that part 2, once they will enter into part 3, then certainly it's going to help. So, the 4 years clinical experience. So I think, the timeline should be like, for every exam, everybody has different, the kind of roles in their own life. The many people, they are working, many people, they are taking care of their kids as well. They have families to manage to, and so many things, right? So the time frame will depend on, the case to case or person to person. But roughly you can say, for part 1, I think it is 4 to 5 months is enough. For part 2, because it is extensive, and
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of a tough as well, because we have got a never ending syllabus. So yeah, I must say that a person who is not working, a person who is at home, maybe parent, or the at home staying for one or the other reason, and not doing job. Because if you are doing
Exactly.
job, then part 2 is going to be little tough. Part 1 can be managed, because that is pretty basic, and you all need is, like, I mean, just revision of your MBBS subjects like anatomy, physiology, pathology, and blah blah blah. But yes, it does need, the extra effort as well. Coming back to MRCOG, if somebody is not working, and then I must say 5 to 6 dedicated months preparation is enough to pass this exam.
Okay.
Difficulty level, your another question. Well, difficulty level again vary from person to person. For me, maybe this exam is very difficult. For you, it may be easy, because maybe your concepts are very clear. Maybe my concepts are not that clear. But of course, you need to put a lot of, the hard work into this. All right. So, again I will be repetitive in this thing that 5 to 6 months dedicated study for part 2 is enough. And then when you are entering into part 3, then after part 2 you have to have your assessment of training done by RCOG. And after assessment of training, and if you are good to go in the part 3, then of course you are going to be talking to your patients like we do talk in our day to day basis. But of course you are going to bring your clinical knowledge as well, whatever you have studied so far in part 1 and part 2. So roughly, if somebody who is entering into this program, and for example, like for me, I had my residency done, prior to entering into this MRCOG. So I
Yeah.
took only 2 years to become MRCOG. But for candidates,
Okay.
yeah, part one, part two, and part three, so 2.5, I must say. Then if somebody who is entering into this journey right after house job, then of course part one and part two, then 4 years residency program, then the part three. So eventually it will take almost roughly give and take 4 to 5 years for the any newcomer who is entering into this MRCOG program. But difficulty level will be accordingly. Okay, these days, because this college is so, this exam is so competitive, we are
Hmm.
competing with brilliant minds all around the globe. So it's not like that I'm competing with you and you are competing with me only, or we are just competing with our local graduates. For example, if we are from Pakistan, so we are just competing with our students. No, we have to compete with the brilliant minds all around the globe. So of
Yeah,
course
exactly.
difficulty level is going to be there. So when I was entering into this, I always used to hear the same. This exam is so difficult. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. For part one, for part two, same. For part three, same. But see where
Yeah.
I am today. I am done with MRCOG. So if I can do it, so can you. So it's not like that. If somebody is telling you that this exam is difficult, so you're not going to go for that. It's all about you. What exactly do you want for yourself, and how do you want for yourself? This is what it matters, and this is what it counts in the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay. So there comes another question that what do you think that any academy or any credible source of preparation is required or a person can do it by him or herself? What do you think?
What I think personally, both things can happen. Okay, these days we all are so blessed and privileged to have the so many the people who are working in this field, who are
Yeah,
the giving educations, like our the platform at Exam Expert is working
exactly.
since 2016, right? So we are providing the channels for the candidates to enroll in, and then we are helping them out with the the questions, we are helping them out with sessions, we are clearing out their queries. So it does help. But again it varies from, again, the person to person. If somebody is not working, if somebody is so the kind of enthusiastic, and if somebody has the clear concepts, and the so he or she can study himself or herself as well. So it's not mandatory. There is no the thing, there is no word in this MRCOD journey that we should do this and we should not do this. So you
Okay.
just have to frame yourself, you just have to frame your life, you just have to frame your exam, that how you are entering into this, how you are going to pursue, and how you are going to work hard for it. Eventually you have to work hard. Okay, so it's not going to be that if you are entering into any organization like the med exam expert or ABCD anything, so that person or that teacher is going to help you. No, that teacher
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
just going to guide you. Like you also teach,
Yeah.
right? I also teach. So what
Yeah.
candidates expect is most of the time that okay, whatever Dr. Mariam will tell us, that is going to come into exam. Whatever Dr.
Yeah.
Zaib is going to tell, that is going to be exam. So
Exactly.
that is big no, right? So we as a teacher, we as a mentor are just there to guide them. Just there to help them in declaring their concepts, in clearing their, and the summarizing things, and keeping their the life easy. Moreover, if somebody is working, if somebody is managing the house, and has so many responsibilities to tackle with, so yes, all these the preparation platform, they help them a lot, because the many things are going to be kind of at their doorstep. They just have to enter into one the portal, and they just have to get an access, and they just have to study. Again, in the end, they have to study. So it's not like
Exactly.
that I'll go at their place in exam, or you will go at their place in exam.
Yeah.
Eventually they have to go themselves, right?
Yeah.
So yes,
That,
on the other hand, yes, all these the platform are helpful, like the med exam expert, we are helping, I don't know, numerous and countless candidates since 2016, and we have helped, and we are so happy to be the the part of their success and success stories as well. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so Dr. Zaib, now there arises a question of training. As you told us that for part three of MRCOG, we need 4 year training. So, is there any time specification for this training? Like we have to invest 2 years in obstetric and 2 years in gynecology, or
No.
is it? Yeah, it is combined training in
It's
both of
combined
the field.
training, and it
Yeah.
should be 4 years. And like I said, that it's written on the website that you need 4 years clinical experience. It doesn't mean that somebody has to be in training program, but 90% or 80 to 90% of the cases, your clinical experience does matter. So if somebody has gone through all the training, the levels, year one, year two, year three, year four, so obviously we step forward, we step ahead, okay, whenever we are into any residency program. So that residency program, it does help. So but on the other hand, if somebody is already working and they really want to the refresh their knowledge, or if they are working as a consultant or specialist in their respective countries, so yes, they can enter into this program as well, provided they have got 4 years valid clinical experience, provided they are working in a hospital which tackles with inpatient, outpatient, and theatrical, the work as well. So yes, the by the end, the college has to do assessment. So if your assessment of training is done, so you are good to go. Doesn't matter if it is tertiary care hospital, or doesn't matter if it is at secondary care or primary health care.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Zaif, we are having some live queries, and
Mhm.
I'm going to read it for you so that you can answer these queries.
Yes, yes, sure.
So here is a query. Good work. Keep it up. I have some doubts. Do we need training under supervision like FCPS, MCPS, or just work experience in gynae ops as WMO is enough for PACES?
Okay, very good question, I must say. As a WMO, if you are dealing with inpatient, if you are dealing with outpatient, if you are doing your theater work as well, and provided, like I said earlier, that if your hospital is issuing you a certificate and that is quite valid, and it has cross signed by your head of department, so you are good to go. It doesn't matter,
Okay.
but it should be written on your the assessment of training certificate which you are going to be sending towards RCOG, that you are working as a registrar, or you are working as a doctor, you are managing with inpatient, you are managing with outpatient, and you are doing and assisting the theater, the work as well. So if everything is mentioned on that letter, particular certificate, and it is cross signed by your head of department as well, you are good to go. No supervisor, the particular supervisor is not needed. No.
Okay. So the same aspirant has asked another question. Do we get training in UK after MRCOG? If yes, at what level?
Very, very interesting question, I must say. See, my dear all, whoever is watching at the moment, and Mariam, you too. MRCOG is a membership exam. It's not a direct degree. Okay, like for us Pakistani
Yes.
candidates, if we are, and if we want to work as a consultant, so we have to become FCPS, or the other training residency program as well. Likewise, for UK trainee or NHS trainee, this MRCOG exam is mandatory. But since MRCOG has a global acceptance, MRCOG has got a very wide acceptance all around the globe, right? So this MRCOG is their national exam, I must say. So it's not like that if you will become MRCOG, then you will directly become a specialist when you will enter into UK system. No, answer is no. Okay, so even after MRCOG, because you are switching from one healthcare system to the another healthcare system, so it does take time. Number one. Secondly, when you are entering into another healthcare system, you have to do the your GMC registration. Okay, so while you have to work in UK, you have got two paths. Okay, two routes. One is PLAB, very junior route. Okay, PLAB is
Yes.
license exam, right? PLAB or UK MLA, whatever it
Yeah.
is. And then second route is going to be MRCOG to enter into the NHS system. So it all depends on you. Of course, when you will enter into the PLAB journey, so eventually you will start at the junior most level. In our country, we say internship or house job. So for them, that is going to be foundation year program, and foundation year program is going to be for 2 years. So after PLAB, 2 years is going to be foundation year program, and after that, they expect, NHS expect that a candidate is done with MRCOG part 1, because MRCOG part 1 is pretty basic. isn't it? So after
Yes.
MRCOG part 1, so then they are going to be able to choose their respective field of interest. If you want to pursue OBG, so of course you will start your specialty training program. So that is going to be from specialty training year 1 to year 7. Year 1 and year 2, by the end of year 1 and year 2, college expects that every training should be the done with MRCOG part 2, and by the end of year 4 and 3, at least MRCOG part 3 should be done. So you can see that even there, during their training they have to do MRCOG. So for us as an overseas candidate, if we are doing MRCOG, so it means we are not entering into their, the specialty training program. So when we will enter into, the UK system through MRCOG route, okay, so then we can be eligible to enter into their specialty program directly, and we will skip foundation years, and we might
Okay.
skip, the lower level of training, maybe year 1 or
Okay.
year 2.
Yeah.
So every year they have their induction program for specialty training 3. So if you are, the quite smart to secure that position, okay, because they do have interviews, they do have, the test as well. So of course, if you are smart enough to secure your position from overseas, okay, but before that you have to have your GMC done, and after that you will enter into specialty training program. So because if you guys are aware of NHS system, they do have hospitals. So every hospital has, the one NHS, the trust. So every trust has different, the rules and regulation and protocols. Some of them they do hire overseas as, the specialty training. Some of them they do hire as, the from the junior level. Again, it will all depend on your CV, it will all depend on your clinical experience, it will all depend on, the whatever you have, the written in your, I must say, in CV. Because
Okay.
eventually FCPS itself is not going to be recognized in UK, okay. But to enter into GMC or to enter into UK health system, if you are done with MRCOG or if you are done with MRCPI obstetrics, then yes, you can enter into, the UK healthcare system.
Okay. So, ma'am, there is another question by Ufak Shahid, and she's asking if someone has clinical experience of secondary care hospital, should still need to get tertiary care experience before part 3.
No, like I said earlier, that if you are managing inpatient, outpatient, plus you are doing theater work as well, and at the same time the same, I mean, almost everything is written on your certificate, because eventually you are going to get a certificate. So if it is written on your certificate, counter signed by your HOD, you are good to go.
Okay. So, please also tell about books. Which books are important?
For which part?
There isn't mentioned any part. I think she is asking for part 1, might be.
Part one, okay. For part one, because I taught part one for pretty, the long time, 5 years. So I know part one, about part one as well. So we recommend, or we almost all mentors recommend, that Oxford Revision Notes is the basic book, and after Oxford Revision Notes, you can have Essential Revision Guide with you. If something is not, the getting into your mind, and you can get, the detailed explanation from Essential Revision Guide. And after that you have to do single best answer practice. We have got couple of books in part one as well, and we do recommend Androsizer, we do recommend, the 400 SPA, I must say. Then we have
Yes.
Get Through as well. I think you know better than me now that what are the books, but these are the
Yeah,
books.
because it is very fresh in my mind.
Yes, I know. So I mean, this, and of course you can take RCOG e-learning strategy, single best answer subscription for part one, and pass MRCOG is also a good source. But I always recommend, the online source rather than, the PDF forms which are available here and there. That can be, the helpful. But if you are, the taking direct subscription, online subscription, then yes, it is going to be updated, and it is going to be, the revised one. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Zaib, there comes another question. After part 2, there should be training or previous training can be counted.
Previous training can be counted. Okay,
Yes.
no problem. But now tell let me tell you about training as well. They say total 4 years of experience. Okay, for example, if somebody has done training back in 2016-17, then the 16-17, or say from 16 to 20. okay, 4 years training. And then she is working as a WMO, or she is working as a the in consultant in a private practice, okay. But 2 years experience should be in the last 4 years. When you are sending your experience certificate, in total it has to be 4 years, and preferably 2 years, recent 2 years should be within 4 years time frame. Okay. So
Okay.
like for me, I started off my residency from 2010 to 2013 December. Okay, after that, the I entered into my private practice. I was doing that. So when I sent my the eligibility assessment of training, so yes, I sent my residency certificate along with my the current hospital where I'm working at. So I took another the certificate from them as well, that I'm working as a senior registrar and I'm the performing all these duties and blah blah blah. So it was countersigned by our HOD and it was countersigned by MS of the hospital as well. So yeah, it was accepted. So this is how it should be. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, after part two, how much time we need to pass part three?
Well, it all depends on you yourself. If your communication is very good, so I don't recommend taking a long break and they just go to sleep and then they wake up and then go for exam. It is always recommended that right after part 2 it's better and it's a good idea to write part 3 right away. So don't wait, because now exam is going to be twice in a year, the both for MRCOG part 2 part 3 and I
Yeah.
think part 1 as well. So it's not a good idea that you are waiting for good 1 year to write your exam and then nobody knows what is going to be the result. So why
Correct.
waiting the that much? Just give your 100%, prepare, give your best, and just go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so Suraya Bano is asking, after part two MRCOG, can we do GMC registration? I think
No,
she wants to ask, can
no,
we get
no, no,
GMC
no,
registration?
no, you cannot. Either
Yeah,
she has to, either Suraya, sweetheart, either you have to do PLAB, or either you have to complete your MRCOG to become GMC, or there is a third route these days, Royal College of Ireland. So if you are, the MRCPI, so yes, you can enter into GMC program.
okay, so private hospital certificate is valid.
Well, it depends on, again, what type of duties are you performing in private
Yeah,
hospital? Because if most of the time you are just, the working as a, a duty doctor, most of the time they are not performing surgeries, but maybe they are dealing with labor ward duties as well. So I think it again depends on, what exactly is written on your certificate. But at the same time, you shouldn't be lying. You shouldn't be taking, the advantage of this, that college is not supervising your training, because end of the day, if you will become MRCOG, if you will enter into the NHS, and if you don't know anything about your training, if you don't know anything about how to deal with the patient, that is going to be embarrassing. So I always suggest that don't lie, don't the fabricate things on, especially on certificates, because it really feels bad, and at the end of the day you won't be satisfied as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there comes another live query, and she is Sobia Sanjarani, and she's asking, I have 2 years in Ops Gynae in 2016 to 2018, but
Hmm.
since 2020, I am in government service. Will I eligible for part three, or I need to go for again 4 years training?
No, Sobia, if you are working in hospital and you are dealing with labor ward, you are doing theater work as well, and of course, the ward duties as well, you can get your certificate, okay? And you can send both to RCOG when you will send your assessment of training. So hopefully it will be accepted. So it's not going to,
Okay.
yeah, do any difference.
Okay, so Dr. Zeb, we have discussed MRCOG, and now here comes MRCPI. So a lot of aspirants want to know about this exam. That what is the basic difference between these two exams? And we all know that MRCOG is globally recognized exam. So as far as we know, MRCOG is, so MRCP is also globally recognized
Yes.
exam.
It is recognized, but again, the acceptance may vary from country to country. So, the in terms of the global perspective. On the other hand, MRCPI is also a very the kind of good exam. Okay, in terms of the eligibility is going to remain same. That either you have to have from Pakistan, either you have to be FCPS. Till date, they are they're taking FCPS as the, then we are going to get exemption from Part 1 MRCPI, or
Okay.
you have to be MRCOG Part 1. Okay, that is going to be counted, and then you will enter into Part 2 MRCPI. Part 2 MRCPI has two parts. one is theory and the other is clinical. Well, difficulty level can be little less than MRCOG, but it's not that easy. In the last, the 2 years, they are making it a very competitive exam, because now competition is tough. Now they have
Yeah.
to bring their trainee into, the
Yeah,
NHS.
exactly.
So competition is so tough. So I would suggest and I would advise to all candidates who wants to go for MRCPI, don't just go by thinking that it's an easy exam. It's not an easy exam. I have failed this exam. Okay, I have failed this
Oh,
theory. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, because I took it so, lightly. Oh my God, I passed MRCOG, so yes, I can write.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're very true. This thing is
I
very
was
common.
overconfident. I was, maybe, I admit wholeheartedly that I was very overconfident at that time, that, I did my MRCOG part two. So yeah, MRCPI is going to be piece of cake and I can get passed. But it was
Yeah,
kind of, the falling off from the bridge, that I failed that exam. Although,
yeah,
the percentage was quite close, but I have failed. And once you have failed, so you have failed. Doesn't matter. 1%,
exactly.
1%. Okay. So difficulty level, now they are making MRCPI part 2 theory difficult as well, because the pass ratio is somewhere between 65 to 70%. There is only, the single best answer, one paper of 3 hours, 100 questions, but difficulty level is there. Okay. Moreover, they focus on clinical, the knowledge rather than theoretical. Okay. MRCOG, on the other hand, they focus on theory plus, the clinical, but MRCPI is
Exactly.
more towards clinical. Okay, this is the difference.
Yeah,
So yes, if somebody is doing, the clinical work, and he or she is very good in their clinical work, so I'm sure MRCPI can be a piece of cake. But again, at the same time, I will advise, don't take it, the very lightly, that this exam is nothing. No, every exam matters. Every, in these inflation days, because, because of the currency exchange and all, every
yeah,
exam is
yeah.
expensive. Every exam is expensive, and till date, till September, I think it is online. But who knows that if it becomes, the on off-site or in the centers as well, then we'll have to travel. So you have to calculate everything. You have to calculate fee, you have to calculate traveling costs, you have to calculate, the stress and amount of stress as well. And
Exactly.
yes. So like I said earlier, for me, because I was working and I was, the preparing for all these exams, so it was kind of, the okay. But yes, I had a difficult time. Even I failed MRCPI theory, I failed MRCOG theory once, I failed MRCOG 3 once, okay? Then I passed eventually. But the never think that all these exams are so easy. Okay, so always give your 100% and then be prepared for every type of result, because every exam will have two results: either you have passed this exam or you have failed that exam. So be ready. And again, let me tell you, Mariam, that failing one exam doesn't make you a bad candidate. Were I a bad candidate because I
No.
have failed this exam?
Yeah,
No, of course no, right? Maybe it was not my time, maybe it was not right time, maybe it was not meant for me. So whenever it was meant for me, it was very good. Let me give you an example for part 3. I have failed part 3 with only 2%. Pass score was 62 and I scored 60%. And when I was meant to pass, I passed the same exam with 86%. So I mean, it all depends on, the how much extra effort you give in. And of course, then you expect that of course you are going to pass this exam. So never
yeah,
think that after failing one exam you are not a good candidate and you don't deserve to be in this MRCOG journey. No, it's not like that. Just look at the wide, the picture, bigger picture.
yeah.
What exactly do you want out of this exam, or any exam, I must say.
So, Dr. Zaib, we are having another live query, and
Uh-huh.
one is asking if one does either MRCOG or MRCPI and working in NHS or HEC Ireland. So, can he or she get a consultant job after returning back to Pakistan?
Well, it all depends on, because if you're talking about Pakistan, PMDC does recognize both, okay, membership exam, but again, it all depends on, the where you want to work. With the MRCOG or MRCPI, if you are returning back to Pakistan, uh, till date, okay, they are not accepting them as faculty. With
Okay.
faculty, with faculty only you can grow in your career. You're starting from senior registrar, then assistant professor, associate professor, and then professor. But I'm afraid with MRCOG or MRCPI, maybe, because PMDC is making changes these days. And even, yesterday I had one query that PMDC has asked that you have done MRCOG. So how many years of training you have done for this MRCOG?
Yeah.
Right? So of course we have to give them some proof that yes, we utilized our, the training program of FCPS, and then we entered into this MRCOG program. Okay. So again, the question remains same, that when you are returning to Pakistan, so who knows what exactly rules are going to be and how you can work. But maybe in private practice you can work as a specialist, or or you may work as a registrar or senior registrar. It all depends on, the centers
Okay.
and hospital and policies.
Okay. And there comes another query, which is a difference of syllabus between MRCPI and MRCOG. Is the syllabus same for both of these exams?
Well, let me clear this theory in a very the correct way. MRCOG, because we do have extensive guideline in MRCOG. Okay, we
Yeah.
do need to cover some of the TOG articles as well. We do have to cover some other guidelines too. Likewise for this MRCPI as well. Since I think January this year, okay, 2023, MRCPI is changing almost all guidelines. They have archived their previous guidelines. Now they are bringing changes. And what I have observed, because I have been through, because I do teach for MRCPI as well, so I do have a very clear knowledge about this, that the from February or March they are bringing new guidelines. So I must say that if MRCOG has 80 plus guidelines, MRCPI has 40 plus guidelines. So it's not that
Mm-hmm.
easy. On the other hand, if any topic which is not covered by guideline, so eventually you have to take help from RCOG guideline or TOG article as well. So yes, if you are done with MRCOG, or if you have attempted MRCOG and you have a vast knowledge about MRCOG, then maybe that knowledge can work into MRCPI as well, and that is going to be helpful. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Zaib again. And there comes another live query. I'm so glad that we are having such a bundle of live queries today, and this is just because of you, Dr. Zaib.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Humaira Bashir is asking, I did FCPS but didn't get registrar job. Now my friend told me to do MRCOG. After doing MRCOG, what are chances of getting job in UK?
Well, I think I have answered that, but let me answer it again. That
Yeah.
job, you can get job in UK, but what level? It all depends on your, the CV or your clinical experience. And if you have done FCPS in 2016, then I must say you have almost 7 years clinical experience post FCPS, right? So if you are working as a specialist or consultant in private practice, so that practice will count. So don't, I would never suggest anyone to go for SR job after 7 years of long, the gap from, the FCPS. Like for me, I did FCPS in 2015, right? So after that, yes, I did try, because everybody wants to go to,
Yeah,
that level,
exactly.
that everybody wants to become professor or assistant professor. So that was my dream as well. But somehow I couldn't secure any place in anywhere. So I the switched. I switched back to my teaching career. So I'm working and I'm happy. And so after these 7 years of experience, Humaira, I must say that once you are going to be done with your MRCOG and you are going to enter into GMC, then again you will apply for jobs from specialty training 1 to specialty training 3, and directly you can go. And in NHS, Mariam, let me tell you that we have got two types of jobs. Okay, two type of post. One is non training post and the other is training post. If you are
Yes.
aiming for training post, then eventually after year 7, ST7, you can enter into specialty program. So it takes somewhere between 10 to 12 good years to become a specialist or consultant in UK. So never
Yeah.
think that you have done MRCOG, now you will just be dreaming of, okay, I will become a consultant and I will live a very, the kind of like a lavish life
Yes,
over
yes.
there. No, it's not like that. Okay. So yes, you can secure job. It all depends on, the what kind of job you get, and the how you secure your, the interviews, and how you they get selected. So yes, you can do even non-training post. Moreover, it is always suggested that for overseas candidate, because you are switching from one health system to the other, so it's better to go from non-training post. Non-training post is going to be similar as, we are doing a registrar job, which is not, the kind of recognized by PMDC rules, right? So registrar job is okay, but if it becomes senior registrar, that is recognized by PMDC. So
Yes.
likewise for NHS as well. So you do have specialty training post, ST, or you have non-training post. Somewhere, it is termed as, just for the sake of knowledge, let me tell you, junior clinical fellow, senior clinical fellow, okay, something like that. So they do tell you that, okay, this is non-training post, and with this job you cannot enter into training program. But if you are aiming for the training, then yes, you have to enter into training program.
Okay, now Dr. Zay, please tell us about fellowship in Obs and Gynae. We have heard the term FRCOG, which is Fellowship of Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecology. So how can one get that? It's a degree or it's a
Everybody will be
qualification.
FRCOG. Everybody will be FRCOG after doing MRCOG, but he or she has to wait for good 10 to 12 years. So in
Okay,
that,
that's a
the
very
12
long
years,
time.
yeah, if somebody survives.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that, it's they always recommend that you are involved in RCOG programs, like that you are attending conferences, you are attending their webinars, you are building your portfolio, because once you will become MRCOG, you will, the build your portfolio on MRCOG, the register as well. So you will build your portfolio, you will enter your, the accomplishment. Plus at the same time, they really, they appreciate if somebody is, the reading, and somebody is well versed with all talk articles and upcoming guidelines, because they do have, the all CPD questions as well. So they do appreciate. So if you are, the very, the kind of up to date with every activity, so you're good to go. Yes, and yes, everybody will be a first POG, nobody will be left.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Zaib. Okay, Dr. Zaib, we are having another live query, and it is by Farah Ali, and she is asking, "Ma'am, I have done MRCOG Part One, have 2 years training done. Is it possible for me to go for MTI program?"
Well, for MTI program, you need to pass your MRCOG part 2 as well. Okay. For
Okay.
MTI,
And
you have to have at least, the part 1, part 2 done, not part 3.
okay. And is there any requirement for language test as well?
Yes, OET or IELTS.
Okay.
You can better guide
Yeah.
regarding OET.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Dr. Zaib, can you please tell us about the diplomas and the courses you have done in ops and gynecology, and how can one register for that? These courses are paid one or the unpaid one. There is a query. Can you please share your words on this?
Well, diplomas and, the certificates. Apart
Yeah.
from all these, the membership exam and the fellowship programs, I have done couple of, the diplomas as well. Like, the 2 days workshop, 3 days workshop, and of course, I'm very keen. I'm a very keen learner, so I do try to attend, the various workshops, various, the hands-on training programs as well. So eventually, it is going to help you in your clinical practice. So if you are very much eager to learn, for example, there are certain programs which are offering you 6 months, the infertility diplomas, or
Yeah.
a year of urogynecology post fellowship program. And it is always recommended that, if you are doing your post fellowship, then do it from, the recognized colleges or institutes, and get them done, because it is very important. Because after doing FCPS and OBGY, perhaps you are just, the kind of a whole and soul person who is dealing with almost all kind of, the problems or diseases. But if you choose to become, because for me, I really want to become fetal-maternal medicine expert, right? And my area of interest is that. So if at all I get, the opportunity to pursue my, the further life or further career into, so I would definitely enter into this. But many people, they would love to go for urogynecology. Many people, they want to pursue, the infertility. So yeah, post fellowship program is always recommended. Having said that, it doesn't mean that it is going to collide with your MRCOG. But if you are an overseas candidate, and if you are working in your own respective country, even after doing all these things, so yeah, it is always recommended to the excel in one specialty. If you have interest in infertility, I would definitely recommend go for that. So we have couple of, the infertility programs. There is, the programs from France, Germany, I think European countries. Then we do have from UAE as well, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. So a couple of, the programs on laparoscopy, hysteroscopy. So yeah, you can go. And the and yes, India, not to mention, India is very, the advanced in all these, the teaching programs
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's true.
so this is very, the I must say, the Indian candidates who are, the listening to us, so this is very good for them, that they can get their hands on practice, they can get their diplomas, they can get their, the trainings in laparoscopy, hysteroscopy, oncology, urogynecology, infertility. So yeah, they have got numerous programs.
Okay, so Dr. Zaib, another question comes regarding GMC registration upon MRCPI.
Mm-hmm.
Can one get GMC registration by doing all the parts, like
Yes.
she wants to say full MRCPI?
Yes, yes, yes. You can get MRCP, you can get GMC on the basis of MRCPI if you are done with theory, if you are done with clinicals, and of course you have your certificate with you, even after
Okay,
that. Not
okay,
before. Yeah.
okay. And same rule applies for the Ireland as well. If one does MRCOG, then he or she is eligible for IMC registration.
Hmm. Well, it all depends on what I know so far is that the MRCPI. If you have done, they prefer MRCPI. They do not, they prefer MRCOG, as long
Okay,
as I know. Yeah.
okay. So, Dr. Zaib, there is another live query by Suraya Bano again, and she's asking, ma'am, can you please give detail about MTI program?
Well, MTI program, I think MTI program now it is on and it will close by the end of October. If you are very keen to, the go for that, okay, follow RCOG page. It is written, and write down MTI program in the, the search bar. You will get all details. Okay. For MTI program again, because MTI is kind of, the international, the scheme. So it all depends on, the how you secure your position. And from every country they have to take, the few candidates. So it's not always, the possible that only Pakistani or Indian or any other, the country's candidate will go. So MTI program, like I said earlier, that you have to pass your part 1 along with part 2 and 2 years of training, and then yes, you are eligible to go for MTI program. And these days MTI scheme is open, so everybody who's, watching us or listening to us can go for MTI program. Okay.
Okay, so Dr. Zaib, we have taken a lot of your precious time. Now
Mhm.
it is time for your precious message for upcoming aspirants. Please share your thought for the upcoming juniors and the upcoming aspirants of the medical field.
Thank you so much, Mariam, and I thoroughly enjoyed. And it was kind of, I was telling my students yesterday that please do join me, because it is going to be
Yeah.
stressful. Because all the time I'm taking session, I'm speaking, and they are listening and they are answering my queries. Okay. So apart from that, the message for the upcoming aspirants is never give up, and giving up should never be an option for anyone there is. Again, the I must say that if you are failing one exam, don't feel that you are a bad candidate or you are inferior to anyone. No, you are not. Always think, that maybe it was not your day, maybe it was not meant for you, and when it is going to be meant for you, then certainly you can achieve it. Okay. And I always say that in my every session, if I can become a MRCOG, so can you. Okay. So it's not something out of the world, it's not something that, that can only be done by only, the one particular person or candidate. No, everybody can become a MRCOG. All you need is hard work, all you need is persistence, perseverance, and the motivation. If you are not motivated, if you are, the I'm sorry to say, dead all the time, just thinking I cannot do this, I cannot do this, then yes, you cannot do it.
Yeah,
All the time everybody is, the going through, I don't know what. So I cannot fit in your shoes, you cannot fit in my shoes, right? So
exactly.
but if we are aiming for MRCOG, we have to think MRCOG. Like I always tell to my candidates is that if you are into this MRCOG business, think MRCOG, talk MRCOG, walk MRCOG, and always think of that you are in NHS and you're working, the like NHS training. Trust me, the we overseas candidate, we are no less than local NHS trainees. I have been privileged, to get an opportunity to become an examiner for MRCOG Part 3 as well. So I have observed a couple of candidates all around the globe. Okay, so I see, this is my personal opinion, I see almost all overseas candidates so hardworking, very having very good concept. Maybe the communication can be, the a kind of a gap. Okay, communication barrier can be a problem, but otherwise their
Yeah,
concepts are very clear. Otherwise, they are very good in their, the clinical knowledge and the application of applied clinical knowledge as well. So again, I would say the same: never give up. Okay, giving up should never be an option. Okay,
Yeah.
and if time allows, if circumstances allow, do write all these exam. This is really going to enhance your clinical skills. This is really going to open your, the mind, and you are going to be a good doctor eventually. What exactly we want to be? I want to serve my country. I want to serve my people. So I really want to be good. Okay. So MRCOG helped me a lot. FCPS gave me base. MRCOG helped me a lot. MRCPI polished me. And on top, cherry on the top, European board, they really gave me an eye opener about super specialty kind of things, that how am I going to be dealing with subfertility patients, urogynecology patient. Because I always thought I can never do gynecology because that is not my cup of tea, because I'm
Yeah.
I'm basically ops kind of the person. I love
Yeah.
dealing
Yeah.
with the ops. So, but yes, every exam has the pros, every exam has cons. So always choose which exactly is important for you, which exam is feasible according to your own circumstances. Don't follow herd. Let me tell you this, because that person is doing, so I have to do that. No,
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
person don't know about me, my circumstances, so I have to follow me, my own footsteps. That's it. Okay, keeping in view of current inflation, the of course, when we are going to the convert our currency into the international currencies, so it is going to be the cumbersome. Okay,
Yeah.
so choose wisely, plan wisely, and for MRCOG I always say go for it. Okay, don't leave a chance. And once you are entering into MRCOG, don't leave any stone unturned, that you are not giving your 100%. Give your 100%. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Dr.
Maria.
Zaib, for
Yeah.
your beautiful message and your time. I
Thank you.
know you
Thank
are a very busy person, and
you.
yeah, it takes me very long time to get appointment from Dr. Zaib so that she can give some time and we can do
Thank
a
you so much.
podcast.
Thank you
So
so much,
thank you
Maria.
so much, ma'am,
I
that
hope it
you are
was
here.
helpful. Yeah, I hope it
Yeah,
was
that you are
helpful.
here, and thank you all the viewers, and we are very obliged, and we had a very beautiful podcast this evening, and I'm sure that all the queries has been resolved. And thank you so much. If you feel any hesitancy up till now, you can contact easily the med exam team. Me and Dr. Zeb are also the mentor of the MRCOG. She is for
Exactly.
part 2 and I'm for part 1. I'm very much junior to her, but still she is
No,
an
no, you are doing
inspiration
very
for
good
me
in
as well.
your, yeah, you are doing very good in your
Thank you
capacity,
so much,
and I
ma'am.
must say that you are doing very good in OET, and
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
brilliant.
So, the aspirants, if you need any help for any foreign exam, please do contact Med Exam team. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.